You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like life, I'll rise.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless.
Good morning, Harrisburg, and welcome back to the Black News Beat. How are you doing today? It is a wonderful Wednesday morning. It's a little cloudy, but I like that the weather is not threateningly cold as it was a couple days last week. And we are here. It's Wednesday, April the 29th, 2026. And let's do a quick temperature check. How are you guys doing? How in the world are you? Where in the world are you? What you've been doing? How's your weekend? I got lots to talk about for my weekend because it was my birthday. Okay. So I want to tell you all about that. And turning 45 is kind of weird because like I feel in my brain, I feel like I'm still like 35 or maybe even 25, but my body definitely feels like 45. But thank you to everyone who sent me love this past weekend. My birthday was Saturday, April 25th, the best day in the world. And I am stepping into a new year. I'm feeling incredibly blessed. I'm feeling a little trepidatious because of the state of the world. I do not feel deeply rested. I need to work on that. But I did take a restful weekend. I went to visit my mom. Shout out to my mom who threw me a birthday party. It was so sweet. I had such a good time. My cousins came, my brothers came, my husband was there. We had some very good friends who were there. It was just a really nice time. So I did get to sleep. I fell asleep. And the best thing about being 45 is, I don't want to say I'm past the clubbing age and staying up late, but I was perfectly delighted to fall asleep at 10 or 10:30 every single night. It was great. A lot of day partying. I went to the Food and Wine Festival at Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida. I went to the beach on Sunday with my family. It was fabulous. Some of my folks are asking, well, where's the Harrisburg party? And I will get that on the books. I wanted to do it the first weekend in May, first or second weekend in May. I know I'm cutting into other people's birthday plans, but I'll definitely let you know about that. But the Taurus energy is absolutely in full effect, in case you didn't know. So shout out to all my other Tauruses. We are having a moment, as we always are. Because we bring that big bull energy, the very bullish and a little stubborn energy to the room, but we also get things done. So since we're closing out April, I have a really special guest for you today. And I also want to remind everybody that it's Black Women's History Month. Tomorrow is the last day of that. And it's always time to honor the labor, brilliance, and legacy of the women who carry us all. And we'll have one such woman on the show today. And if you're also wondering, I like to talk about what the national day today is. And today is Denim Day. And this is a really important day. It's a global movement of solidarity to support survivors of sexual assault. So today is Denim Day. And just in case you don't know, almost everyone knows someone who's suffered some kind of sexual assault. And with the Epstein files in the news every single second of every single day, we are now elevating the idea of being held accountable for sexual assault to an international stage. And so I'm very happy that we get to have a day like this where we celebrate survivors. We celebrate people who made it through and lived to tell the story, and they're honoring those who sometimes did not making through a sexual assault. And it's always hard for me to talk about because not only do I know people, but having to live and work and be in this climate as a woman is just difficult, right? Reading about sexual assault every single day, there's a new allegation every single day. Intimate partner violence is happening that involve sexual assault. It's just very hard to deal with. So I'm glad to be in community. I'm glad to celebrate survivors today, and I hope you celebrate as well. And if you need something a little lighter, it's also National Shrimp Scampi Day. So get you some garlic butter, some pasta, and eat something good and mind your business. Have fun doing that. I love shrimp scampi. I love shrimp in any form. I love shrimp. Okay. My favorite type of shrimp is grilled shrimp in like a po' boy situation, but I will eat it anyway. But shrimp scampi over some linguine. I'm a fan. So definitely get that going today if that's something that you to enjoy. And so of course we have a great show today. Between the wild incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and federal officials trying to reparent our children and global accountability and local politician retaliation, Lord have mercy, there's a lot of mess to talk about and clean up. So let's not waste any more time. Let's sweep these streets. Let's see what's going on around town and around the nation. So there was an incident at the White House, the Correspondents' Dinner this weekend, and a lot of people are talking about it still today. That we're calling it a false flag. We're saying that was the shooting real, but I want to talk about what was this black man doing, trying to do this. And he wrote this. I think it was either Rachel Maddow or another person wrote this. He wrote his manifesto as if he didn't intend to live because he just knew he was going to be a black man who got shot and died. That's what it was giving. And his name is Cole Thomas Allen. He was arrested after the shooting incident outside the dinner, which led to the president being evacuated. Yes, we did see the president fall. Yes, we did see Vance get rescued first before the president. We saw it all. Do I think that the first thing is, do I think this is a false flag? No, I think it's a completely silly operation that went wrong. That's my word on that. And one such thing that let me know, kind of like give me a clue into this was there was some release footage of the Fox anchor who was sitting near the entrance and saying, he's like, it's like the girls who work here who are letting people in and checking tickets. There's no security. It might as well just be a doorstop at the door, which I thought was a hilarious comment. But it also really speaks to the fact that for some reason, security was lax. This is the first dinner that Trump's ever attended. And this man, he was at the hotel. Interesting. So now I don't think it's a false flag necessarily. Do I think it was planned? I don't know, but I think it was a silly operation gone wrong. Like it just very silly. Listen, as a black person, I don't understand why he thought this had to be his charge to take up. But now he's facing life in prison. And there's also stories saying that he didn't actually shoot his gun, and it was actually another Secret Service agent that shot another Secret Service agent. So there's a lot swirling around. And I just want to ask, black man, why did you get yourself involved in this at all? Why did you think that you needed to be a black martyr? Why did you think any of this? I really need to know. Next up, I'm really sick of this man. But RFK Jr. Is back in the news for his comments and the videos that's arise about him talking about reparenting black kids. And this really annoys me because why do you of all people, RFK Jr., feel like you are any authority on a black child? Very weird to me, very strange. So as reported by the Griot and circulating heavily on social media, research footage of Health Secretary RFK Jr. shows him talking about how black children on ADHD and anxiety meds need to be taken somewhere and reparented. And let's do a fact versus framing check real quick. The framing is that this administration cares about public health. The fact, this is a continued white obsession with fixing black children without addressing the cultural and historical context of the medical system, of their schooling, of where they live, of how of enslavement, historical enslavement in this country, of redlining, and all these other things that affect black children. Not being able to live in neighborhoods of their choosing, being cramped in different very difficult living situations all over the country. And this doesn't only happen to black kids, and this is why it's so significant. This also happens to white children. This also happens to Asian children. This also happens to Hispanic kids. So why we are singling out black children, talking about they need to be reparented because they're on ADHD medication and anxiety meds is weird. Very, very weird behavior, especially coming from this wealthy, rich white man with a lot of privilege and a lot of connections. JFK would be rolling in his grave. So it's still anti-blackness wrapped in fake concern. This is still anti-black because you're not talking about to help families. You're talking about literally taking children away from their families to be reparented. By whom? By whom is the question. History shows us what happens when the government decides black kids need to be reparented. Hello, the foster system. Let's talk about how overrepresented black children are in the foster system for a second as well. So we're not doing this again. We're not accepting the rhetoric around it. We're not taking it as something that is fact. And furthermore, we're going to keep organizing against ideas like this in our community. And then story number 3, South Korean South Korea sentences their ex-president. So what happened? Reuters reports that a South Korean appeals court just sentenced ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol to 7 years in prison for resisting arrest and his illegal martial law pushback in 2024. So South Korea can put their ex-presidents in prison for 7 years for his 2024 offenses, but we can't do the same. Why can't we do that? And why don't we want to do it now is the other question. And why are the Democrats, and particularly Hakeem Jeffries, saying that this is not a top priority if and when the Democrats get back into power after the midterms? This is a top priority for so many Americans. Why is it not a top priority for this party? Why is it not a top priority for a party that represents so many people who are just suffering under the weight of this administration and suffering under the policies, particularly Black and brown folks who vote Democrat every single election? Why is this not a top priority? Why is it not a top priority? I need to know the answer to that. The arch terrorizer is still walking around while other countries actually hold their highest offices accountable. Make it make sense, because it don't make none. And this one is my local story that I wanted to focus on. So you know the primaries are coming up. You know a lot of things are happening. And I just want to ask a question. What happens when elected officials abuse their power? So this is a story of local power and retaliation that I want to talk about. And this is something that is getting exposed more and more as the national power structures and political structures shift, right? So this is not something that I want you to think of out of context of all of that, but it is shifting and things are happening. So Representative Dave Manson is alleged by me to have engaged in political retaliation against me over a Facebook comment. Now, the real story here is his actions after the Facebook comment. Everybody's asking me, well, did you leave the Facebook comment? What kind of Facebook comment did you leave? Are you working with his opposition? All these things. And we're missing the point. The point is an elected official retaliated against me for a Facebook comment. This is not the first time. And so I don't know why people don't learn the lesson. This is what I don't understand. If you retaliate against people as an elected official, people have a right to speak out about that. People have a right to do it. I know that freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence, but I do know that if you want to retaliate as an elected official, you must also accept the consequences of that retaliation. I would say. So according to his constituent reports also, a lot of folks are reporting similar kinds of retaliatory behavior. So what's interesting is this all started because Shane Steele, who is Dave Matson's primary opponent, he challenged his petitions and Dave challenged back. And what's interesting is Shane challenged because he knew Dave was going to challenge, right? And so I left a little comment that said, keep speaking up about what Shane found. He found election irregularities. He found other things. What happened is they both ended up dropping their lawsuits so they are both on the ballot. So the alleged thing is that I was working against Dave Matson because I left this comment. I was working with Shane Steele because I left this comment. I have never worked for Shane. I don't intend to work for any primary or general candidate in Dauphin County this time. So I am running for state committee, but I have not worked for or even given any strategic advice to any Dauphin County candidate for the campaign this year. So I thought it was quite overblown that he would then take steps to have me removed from a committee, try to drag the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus into it, try to drag Representative Napoleon Nelson into it, try to drag caucus staff into it, because he saw a comment on Facebook. He never reached out. I reached out to him twice to make sure that he had opportunity to discuss with me what he wanted to discuss. He ignored me. So when someone contacted me about the story because they heard it brewing, I let them know what had happened. I did file to, and you can read all about this in Penn Live. Shout out to the staff there for actually writing a good article for once, because there was one that came out right before that about the DCDC candidates night. That was terrible. It was such a weirdly written article. So not shout out to the Penn Live staff on that one. It was a weirdly written article that contained so many inaccuracies. I had to personally write into the team to ask them to correct that. So this one, though, was much better. It was not filled with inaccuracies. It's filled with line by line, dates and quotes, and it was very good. So we have a lot of things happening, a lot of petty things happening in our politics too. And a lot of folks talk about, oh, well, why can't we come together? This is the reason why. These are the reasons why we can't come together, because we have politicians like Dave Madsen who will use his elected office to exact his political revenge. And I'm not having it. I just want to say that very squarely and very dead on. We're not doing that. This is why people don't want to support the party. This is why people don't want to run for office, because they don't want to put up with this kind of headache, right? This is a headache. And if you don't even have to do it, one of the things I said when I reached out to Dave and he did not respond was, it is your job to keep your office. Trying to punish me because you are feeling scared because you have a primary opponent is none of my business. Actually, that's all your business. It's your job to keep your seat. And that's every elected official. So yeah, we'll see what happens. The primary's coming up. It's going to be very interesting. But we do have to keep our eyes on local power, because the pettiness is real and it impacts our community, particularly in voter turnout. People usually, well, when they see controversy and they see things happening, they will be like, they're all the same, right? Everything on both sides, everybody's corrupt, and they won't want to participate. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. One, by standing up for myself, because the first order of business is you're not going to do that to me personally. But also this has ripple effects in our community, and we want to talk about that. All right, well, let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's get to media and melanin. So this is always my favorite. And I'm happy to report, since we were last here, I think it was like the Wednesday before, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes. So Amber Ruffin was here. Amber Ruffin had her own show on Peacock. She writes for Seth Meyers. She is quite the powerhouse. She's Grammy nominated. She's Emmy nominated. She's super amazing. And I was so happy to be able to be at the Whitaker Center. Shout out to Mary Oliveira, the president and CEO of the Whitaker Center, for inviting YPOC and letting us be in the building for that. And yours truly got to do the audience question and answer and got to interact with Amber Ruffin. I did ask her. So I told you I was going to ask her about the glass, the whiskey glasses, to see if she had any more. She said, I don't even have a set of those glasses. And they were real nice glasses. So she doesn't have them. I'm so sorry to report. I went back to my friend on Facebook that I had talked about this with last year when I broke the last one. And he was like, I would charge you too much money. And plus, I love Amber Ruffin. So I thought that was really great. But it was a wonderful night. She talked to us about her journey. And there's one thing that she said that I found super interesting. And she said she didn't want to have to learn and pivot. People were asking her what she wanted to do next and what she wanted to learn next. And that was one of Mary's questions, and I think one of the audience questions. And she said, oh my God, I don't want to have to learn another thing. I don't want to have to I've learned so many things. I've had to pivot so many times in order to, make this work. And I just want to do what I'm already good at and do it well. And I just don't want to have to learn another thing. And that really resonated with me, because as Black women, we have to pivot and learn another skill every 5 minutes in order to survive in the world, right? Especially with the amount of Black women who've been forced out of the workforce, who have been generally not hired, even if they weren't forced out, but not hired in things that they're good at, hired for the expertise that they have. We have had to pivot. I'm learning a new skill once a year. At least once a year, once or twice a year. The latest one I have to learn, the field I have to learn and understand, is AI. And I'm realizing that not everybody is really hooking into learning AI even the way I was. And I was like, oh, it's just another skill that I had to learn to pivot. So when she said that, it really resonated with me. And I feel that especially as Black women who are juggling so many areas of expertise. And it also hit home for me because I hired a service to help me kind of reposition my, with all the things I do, my professional profile, like with my resume and like my professional offerings, my website, all that stuff. And the woman said to me, she said, well, honey, you have to pick a lane. And I was like, see, I want to pick a lane, but every time I pick a lane, the lanes are like obliterated and there are brand new lanes and I have to learn another lane. So you tell me to pick a lane is not helpful. So she kind of was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. So all that to say, I very much enjoyed having Amber Ruffin here. She was amazing. And having that kind of Black excellence in comedy right here in Harrisburg is definitely what we needed. It was not as full as I would have liked it to have been, though. I will say that. I realized, I said, oh, Amber Ruffin's coming, and not a lot of people knew who she was. So I'm hoping that the folks who did come, that they that they spread the word about who she is and how great she is, because her talk was amazing. Mary did amazing, and it was just awesome. And then there are 2 movies coming out that I want to talk to you about from Media and Mellon. Is God Is drops on May 15th. Vivica Fox is in it. Sterling K. Brown is in it. Janelle Monáe is in it. There's so many great folks. And my cousin Alicia Harris is the writer-director, and she is phenomenal. So that drops May 15th. You definitely have to see it. Stay tuned for, I'll definitely be putting together a showing to make sure that you guys get a chance to see that movie right here in the city, hopefully at Midtown Center, which is one of my favorite places. And also, I Love Boosters is coming out, featuring the one and only Keke Palmer. That hits theaters a week later on May 22nd. So you have back-to-back weekends where you can go see 2 Black movies and have a great time. And then finally, we got to talk about this one. The Variety box office reports that the Michael Jackson biopic Michael is officially out in theaters, and not just out in theaters. It came out the day before my birthday, but it crossed $100 million in its first weekend, which is crazy. And it is on track to be the highest grossing biopic ever, which is just phenomenal. So I'm really happy about that. I have not seen it yet, but I hear Michael Jackson's nephew's performance is absolutely outstanding. And what do y'all think? Drop your spoiler free, because I haven't seen it yet, reviews in the comments. Drop that there. But also, Black folks, just let me talk to you for a second. Did y'all know what y'all's favorite complaint was? Well, he don't look nothing like Michael. Yes, we know. The nephew, yes. But his acting is so good that you almost kind of forget. I've seen some trailers and clips. So I'm hoping that's the case. But that was y'all's number one complaint. He don't look nothing like Michael. The other complaint was folks felt like they didn't learn anything new about Michael Jackson, which I think is a very interesting critique, because that tells me that he was pretty transparent. He is very transparent with his life. So I am happy about that. And you know who's not mentioned in the Epstein files? Michael Jackson. All right, moving on. We're at the end of the first segment. We'll be right back with upcoming events. We've got so much to talk about for that too. So I'll see you in a sec.
I served in the Air Force for 23 years. I was proud to stand for my country. But I'm not going to stand for what Congressman Scott Perry is doing in Washington. He's forgotten about us. Perry voted to cut health care that veterans rely on. That's just not right. We deserve our health care, and Congressman Perry is trying to take it away to give more tax cuts to billionaires. That's just cruel. I'm an independent. I care about issues that impact veterans. I wish Congressman Perry would stand with us.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that first segment. There was a lot I packed a lot in there. So definitely go back and rewatch that, rewind back if you want to see that for our news events. But right now, let's get into these upcoming events. And I always like to say this one here is there's nothing to do in Harrisburg, but there's always something to do in Harrisburg, okay? And if you don't know that, you're just not paying attention. Harrisburg and the greater region, because I'll be talking about some events that are outside of the Harrisburg area as well. So tonight, we're having our We Can't Afford It, Stories of Rising Costs in Pennsylvania's 10th Congressional District event tonight in Halifax at one of my favorite places, and that is Armstrong Valley Winery. I'll put all these links in the comments for you guys, so you can definitely sign up. We're starting at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5:45. We'll be there in Halifax, one, because it's part of the 10th district that people sometimes ignore. And as a regional organizer for Affordable Pennsylvania, I don't want to ignore that. I want to make sure that we are understanding how we can connect what we are experiencing, what we're doing here in Harrisburg, to folks that live in the northern part of the county as well. And also, I've been doing events in York. I'll be doing some in Cumberland County, but I really wanted to focus on Halifax and up above Peters Mountain for these last few weeks. And I did a gas pop-up in Elizabethville last Friday, and not this past Friday, but the one before that, on the 16th or 17th. And it was amazing to hear people's stories in the 10th, in Pennsylvania's 10th Congressional District. And you know that Scott Perry is our representative, and the reason why I'm doing these events is because I want to hold him accountable for the votes that he's taking for, and a lot of the times against, the people of Pennsylvania's congressional 10th. And you know, there are folks who are up, to challenge him, but more importantly, he's still a sitting representative until at least November. So how do we hold him accountable? He doesn't come outside. He don't talk to his constituents. When he does come into the community, it's behind closed doors and no one knows. He pops up in different places, is not accessible. right? So we want to make sure that we are crafting the storytelling pieces, getting our neighbors and friends to tell their stories, building community together. And that is part of what we are continuing to do in Northern Dauphin. I talked to 25 people at the gas giveaway event, and I will be doing more of those too. I did a gas pop-up in Elizabethville, $20 gas cars. People were so thankful, but they were like, what's the catch? I was like, well, I'm exchanging gas cards for your story because I want to know your story. Like, one thing we noticed that a lot of people were coming up to the gas station, but they were not getting gas. And then when we gave them gas cards, they went and got gas. And they were like, yeah, I just filled up. I just stopped here to get my morning coffee because we love the owner of this place. But it is hard right now because gas is just going up and up and up. And I took a picture for you guys and I forgot. I'll put it up on the page. Gas jumped another 20 cents by my house. It went from $4.09. Oh no, it was like, yeah, I think it was $3.99 to $4.19. Yes, to $4.39. So now gas right by my house, right around the corner, right? Something that's accessible to me when, I'm always running low on gas, especially now. Almost $4.40. We are approaching that 5-gallon mark that we haven't seen in a very long time, y'all. And that's going to really put a strain on us as summer comes up. So we'll, all that to say, come out tonight. I'll put that link on the page too. Please come. We'll have food and wine. Of course, we're at the winery. We're going to have food and wine. It is a free event to you. So we want to do this for the community. And what do I want in exchange? I want your story. I want you to sit through the storytelling workshop and tell us your story of how we want to hold Scott Perry accountable for the votes that he's taking for, and more than ever, against the people of the 10th District. Tomorrow, we have something really cool coming up. I will be in Shippensburg University for a special episode of the Black News Beat. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to commune with the students. We have a packed show. We have 4 guests. We have a artistic demonstration. We are going to have people making sure students are registered to vote. So I am so excited about this event. If you can meet us there, We'll be there at 6:00. You'll see the information up on the page. Please join us. It's going to be amazing. And I'm so excited to see all the students. I have all the student profiles up on the page today as well. So we're so excited about it. And of course, every Tuesday is Topic Tuesday. We get together at Culture and Commerce Co-working on North 4th Street to talk about current events. We talk about local government. We talk about county government, state government, and national government, and even international politics. So please come and join us. This space is really sacred and really important because it helps us flesh out our own ideas and help us figure out how we think. So definitely join us for that. And more importantly, according to the Pennsylvania Department of State, the primary is still on. Okay, the primary is May 19th, exactly 3 weeks away. Well, a little under 3 weeks away. Are you registered to vote? Did you get your mail-in ballot? Did you make sure that you are filling it out and returning it correctly? Yes, it is time. It is time to vote. So you need to make sure you vote and make sure that if you're a mail-in voter, you see all the tricks they're trying to pull with mail-in voting. If you can hand walk your ballot to a ballot box, do that. Hand walk it into the county, do that. But make sure you're filling out that and you're getting registered to vote. And looking ahead, Juneteenth HBG is happening June the 14th to the 20th. Are you signed up? Download your tickets. We'll have free giveaways. We'll have all kinds of awesome things. The link is right on our page, so go get registered, JuneteenthHBG.com. All right, we are at the end of our whole first segment, and we are coming up on our very special interview with DCDC Chairwoman Rogette Harris. So give us a second. We'll be right back with this amazing interview. See you in a sec.
Tonight in Harrisburg, the young professionals of color are honoring Black History Month by looking ahead.
Fox 43's Melina Brown has more on the event focused on Black History Month and Harrisburg's future Juneteenth festivities.
We all got blood in our veins. In a room filled with community leaders, families, and young people, the future.
I am Little Miss Black Pennsylvania Jr.
and the foundation of Harrisburg stood side by side.
I am the Juneteenth concert chair, as well as YPOC board, and founder and CEO of Power Choice Productions.
The young professionals of color hosted the event to honor Black History Month, with a special focus on the city's upcoming Juneteenth celebrations. Organizers say it's about more than just planning a festival, it's about celebrating the culture.
Music, art, storytelling, fashion, community, entrepreneurship.
Part of Thursday night's night's event was the focus on connection. People listened to stories, music, and art, while community leaders encouraged the next generation to take ownership of their future.
Black history is important to me because it's about my origins, and I feel like everybody should go out and learn more about Juneteenth. And I feel like that it's important that everybody learns about what happened back then.
The event highlighted the week-long festivities happening in Harrisburg for Juneteenth, including a parade and a concert open to all.
It's a very diversified experience. In a sense, there's not just one genre of individuals. You have older, you have younger. It's family-oriented, it's educational, it's fun.
Organizers say events like these help bridge the gap between generations and continue to be a space where history isn't just remembered, but lived, shared, and passed down.
It's a great way for us to be able to just celebrate the uniqueness that we share, and where we can have pride in the things that we do, and to give hope and to just stimulate our people with joy, innovation, creativity, and fun. And we like to have a good time, so come to the cookout.
Yeah, everybody should probably come out here and, see about Juneteenth.
Milena Brown, Fox 43 News.
Welcome back to the Black News Beat. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. We have a very high in demand guest on the show who's been a topic of conversation for a very long time in our community for her politics, her positions, and her work. And she's here to talk to everyone about the work that she's doing. So joining me now is Rogette Harris, Chairwoman of the Dauphin County Democratic Committee. That's one of her titles. Rogette, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Always happy to have you. So, we are 3 weeks out from the primary. What is the energy looking like on the ground, and what are the biggest concerns you're hearing from Black voters and voters overall in Dauphin County right now?
I'm hearing a lot of concerns about some of the negativity surrounding.
Yeah.
I do think, though, unfortunately, it suppresses the vote. And a lot of times that helps incumbents.
Yeah.
Monday is the last day to register the vote. May 12th is the last day to register to vote by mail. I have heard, though, from the county election office, more people are applying to vote by mail.
Ooh.
So that's good for a primary.
Good.
Yes. We have some very hot contested races. So
Absolutely.
I'm hoping people do come out and make their voices heard. We can't keep complaining and then not vote.
Absolutely right. So what's on the ballot coming up for May?
So we have the governor is on the ballot. He's uncontested. Obviously, we have one of the hottest congressional races in the country.
I'm telling you.
So that's on the ballot.
Yeah.
State representative, state senate, and then all of the party offices on the ballot this year. So whether that's state committee, committee person.
Yep. And so both state committee and county committee are up as well. Yep. Perfect. And we just talked about elected officials allegedly being petty over Facebook comments. What has your experience been like with party politics? How do you, as the party chair, hold candidates and elected officials accountable to the people that put them in office?
Well, what's interesting about our county party, each county party has different bylaws, but all of our county bylaws have to align with the state. But if you are the mayor of Harrisburg, if you are elected countywide, or a state representative, state senate, you have a vote in the county party.
You become a part of the county party.
Yes.
Interesting.
You're on the executive committee and have a vote.
You're on the executive committee?
Yes.
Oh.
And only 2 or 3 of those individuals actually exercise that vote. None of our state representatives do. Our state senator does not. Neither of our county commissioners do either. I will say, though, that our newly elected county elected Tina Nixon, clerk of courts, Antonio Carino, Pathanatary, did attend our endorsement meeting and vote. And the mayor, Williams, stays involved.
She absolutely stays involved.
And she's the first mayor since I've been chair that I have seen that stays involved in the party.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's actually pretty interesting. Wow. And so voting fatigue is real. So we're just talking about suppressing votes too, especially after the last few years. How do we convince folks that the May primary matters? Because we also know we saw a really big jump in primary participation last time, but still not big enough for my liking. You know what I mean? So convince folks that the May primary matters just as much, if not more, than the general election?
A lot of these elections are decided in the primary
Mhm.
because of the way everything is gerrymandered. So I think it's putting that out there. If you don't vote now, you really won't have a choice
Yeah.
in the general election.
Absolutely right. Absolutely
And
right.
also getting people to look past the negativity, because that's what some people want you to focus on, so you're not involved, so you don't vote.
Yeah. I had somebody, I texted them to come to my event tomorrow, and they were like, "Oh, I don't get involved in any politics. I just believe God has a plan."
Mhm.
And what would you say to somebody who, I hear a lot of folks, especially Black and brown folks, say things like that? What would you say to that?
I do believe, I am very spiritual myself,
Mhm.
but I also believe we have to help God out.
Absolutely. You got to put feet to your prayers. Feet to your prayers, honey. Yep.
Yes. And I have people say to me, you don't get paid for this. Why do you put up with it? Why do you do it?
Yeah.
And it's because I care about the issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you care about those issues, you have to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
To give you an example, my mom died of something that was preventable. On her death certificate is something that could have been treated, but she was refused that treatment. So I can let the negativity keep me from being involved, or I can stay involved to prevent someone else from having to go through
Absolutely.
what my family went through.
Absolutely right.
So I focus on that.
Yeah.
And I encourage other people, whatever the issue is in your family or in your life, to focus on that as well.
Because it affects us at the individual and family
Yes.
level, neighborhood level. Like, I think a lot of people think that voting doesn't affect them, but these things, like I talked about earlier, like literally, and I will talk about again, literally your vote determines how much resources come to your
Yes.
community. Like we saw in Virginia. What did you think about the redistricting? First of all, what do you think about the redistricting overall? So I wanted to get back to your comment on gerrymandering too, because we did have a redistricting in 2018.
Yes.
And it created some opportunity districts, one of which allowed Dave Manson to get his seat, as a matter of fact. And
Yes.
it created, I think also, who else was it? Justin Fleming, that seat.
And
was
Nathan
also,
Davidson.
And Nathan Davidson. So these are opportunity districts, what they called them. So do you still think our state maps are gerrymandered at the federal level and state level, or?
Both sides gerrymander, the Democrat Party and Republican Party.
Yeah.
Dauphin County is hugely gerrymandered. I would argue if the districts were stayed the same, instead of having just 3 state reps, we would have 4. Because since I've been chair, we have flipped municipalities. Swatara Township, Lower Paxton Township, which is the largest voting block. We've also flipped Erie Township. What happened though is they split Lower Paxton. They split the city of Harrisburg. So even though those 2 areas might be Democratic, imagine what we would do if we had those full voting blocks.
Interesting.
I believe we would actually have more than what we have now.
Wow. Okay. And so speaking of that, what did you think of the Virginia results the other day? So Virginia did their redistricting and basically created, I think, 7
Democratic leaning seats. Yes.
Which is, or potentially, I mean, we got to see how the voters will vote, but it bodes pretty well that the voters in those newly created districts are the ones who voted for it overwhelmingly. Black, Asian, and Hispanic populations. I think surprisingly, the Black voting bloc voted less Democratic than both the Asian and the Hispanic voting bloc on this particular thing. So what do you think about those results?
I have 2 answers to it. As a Democratic Party chair, I think it's great. As a voter, as a resident, I think we need to get back to where voters choose their representatives, not the other way around. And I think that's one of the issues we have here in Dauphin County, is where the elected officials are choosing their constituents versus the constituents being able to choose their elected officials.
So interesting.
And I think that's why they're not showing up.
Yeah.
That's why we don't see them, because they feel they're, quote, safe.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why we need people to still come out and vote.
Absolutely right. So talk to us a little bit about how this works. There's been a lot of hemming and hawing about the endorsement process for DCDC. I mean, a lot of hemming and hawing, a lot.
Yes.
Somebody actually texted me and was like, I was surprised to read about your support for Rogette in the paper because of how badly the DCDC, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But I think part of it is a misunderstanding of your role.
Yes.
I personally believe this, and also just a misunderstanding of the endorsement process. So talk to us about what do you do as chair, and then and then one of our big meetings every year is the endorsement process.
Yes.
Yep.
I do want every viewer to know, if you go to dolphindems.com, our bylaws are on our website. So this is public.
Yeah, you're not hiding it somewhere.
This is public information. Our endorsement process is, we have a candidates committee. All candidates have to
apparently this is a committee that you rule over with an iron fist, allegedly.
Yes. We have a chair of that candidates committee. Our chair currently is Kelly Summerford, who is actually on state committee as well.
Yes.
He is the chair, and anyone who knows Mr. Summerford knows I am not ruling
he
over him.
He don't play. Number 1 and 2. He don't play. According to everyone, it's Rogette's fault. She influenced. I'm like, what kind of influence do y'all think Rogette has over there? I would really like to know.
I'm very powerful. A lot more.
Apparently.
Yes, I'm apparently very, very powerful. I had someone say recently that I keep Scott Perry in office.
Nice.
So I control not just Dauphin, but Cumberland and York counties as well.
Great.
Yes, I'm a very powerful person.
Amazing.
With that said, there is application process. Yeah. Now, it is in our rules, to be eligible, you must apply and go through the endorsement process. So that is true. The application was on our website starting November of last year. When you apply, all of those applications go to our candidates committee chair. Our candidates committee is made up of Democrats throughout Dauphin County. So there's representatives from all 5 districts. When I say 5 districts, I mean like the 103rd, 104th, the House, the House districts.
We're all in our, that are all touching our county.
Yes. Once those applications are received, there are background checks done on our candidates. I am not in charge of those background checks. Other members of the committee do them.
Really?
Voting history, criminal history, anything that's public.
Yeah.
We want to know about that so we can help you.
Yeah,
it's not a disqualifier, but we need to know if we can find it. Obviously, somebody your opposition can find it as well. We also have a rule that you have to be a registered Democrat for 2 consecutive years to get our endorsement. So yes, the party did endorse Janelle this time, but she was not eligible when she ran the first time.
I told somebody that the other day, and they were like, what? Because they just voted for Janelle and just let her, and she's really a Republican. I was like, while I don't disagree that I have some concerns with Janelle's politics, did you know that in 2024 she could not seek endorsement because she had not been a Democrat long enough? Like, that's also was an open meeting and happened.
Yes. And I personally have never voted against that rule.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, some people aren't as into that, but that is a rule. You have to be a Democrat for 2 consecutive years. That's part of the background check that we ask people.
Yes, absolutely.
About that.
I remember when we had another friend who we were trying, another person, we were a candidate, a potential candidate, we were trying to get into one of the seats in Lower Paxton. They could not do it because they were not registered as a Democrat.
Right.
And that's part of the rules.
Right. And that's to prevent people from just trying to slip in.
Yeah.
That's why we have that rule.
That's right.
So after we do the background checks, you meet with the whole committee, and all committee members ask you questions. That's the vetting piece I brought up. The committee then can give a recommendation to the full voting body to endorse or not to endorse. So for instance, you brought up the 104th race. I don't live in the 104th, so I don't have a vote.
That's right.
In that district. The congressional race is all of Dauphin County, so the whole voting body can vote for that.
Exactly.
So only voting members, which are made up of committee people, state committee members, and those elected officials that I mentioned, you have to live in that district to be able to vote.
That's right.
So that's why I can't control the endorsement process, because I only live in one one district.
Exactly.
So I have one vote like everyone else.
Like everyone else.
I will say though that late last year I was asked to endorse Janelle Stelzen. This was before I even knew there was going to be any other competition. And I said no. And the reason I said no is because we have a voting process, and I didn't think it would be fair for me to independently endorse outside of the party.
Especially as the chairwoman of the DCDC, right?
So I do want to put that out there.
Endorsement would carry weight as just By virtue of you being the chair.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
right.
is why I said no.
Mhm.
I know that wasn't the case in the other two counties, but I can't control other people.
Exactly.
But I personally said no to that.
So talk to me now about, so we know endorsements are big. That's usually our biggest meeting of the year.
Yes.
What else does the party do in other parts of the year?
Can I just say one more thing?
Of course.
To get our endorsement, you need to get 60%.
That's right.
Of the vote.
That's right. You sure
So
do.
it's not just a simple majority.
No.
You must get 60%. Someone also can make a motion for an open primary. I know people were upset in the congressional race that wasn't made, but
Somebody didn't have to
someone
make it.
would have to make that motion.
Yeah, somebody had to make that motion.
Both candidates had the full voting list, so someone could have orchestrated, could have planted someone to make
Absolutely.
that motion.
Absolutely right.
Now that motion was made in the 106 race,
And it was,
and it passed.
yes, it did. Mhm.
So, that's not up to me as chair to, again, that would be putting my thumb on the scale.
Exactly right. So, and anything about else about the endorsement process we should know? Because I feel like a lot of people still either don't believe or are confused about how this works. Anything else we should know?
I think the only thing else, if you want to vote, become a committee person.
You can write yourself in. There's still a whole bunch of empty spots on the ballot right now.
Become a committee person, but it's not decided by one person.
That's right.
I do realize that on the state and national level, things can be different, and that's fine, but you can't lump us up with the DCCC.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's the biggest piece that I want people to know. We do have a process. I just laid it out, and if you want to read it for yourself, go to dolphindems.com. It's in our bylaws.
That's perfect. And so talk to me, what does the committee do the rest of the year? Like, what do they do?
So the DCDC does a lot. We have an education committee. Every year we hold petition trainings. You can come learn how to collect petition signatures. If you're going to be a candidate, it's open to everyone. Also, we don't endorse until after petitions. Some parties, like the state party, they endorse beforehand because they want to influence who you support. We wait until after. And now that's my decision as chair, but I do that to see who's on the ballot so we don't miss anyone.
Absolutely right.
So that's a little different.
You could endorse somebody who then I would feel like wouldn't get on the ballot.
And that has happened in the past with other chairs.
Absolutely right. So,
but we have trainings. We have candidate trainings. We have trainings for committee people, voter registration, how the mail-in ballots. Our voter registration committee is very active. That's handled by Carl Hisro, who's a vice chair.
Carl. Yeah, he's awesome.
He goes up into the high schools and everything, table events. He does a lot in that committee.
Yes,
so we do a little bit of everything.
That's awesome.
Obviously, there's more we can do, which is why I encourage people to get involved. But there's a lot we do throughout the year.
And then I also know there for petition season, you hold petition collection nights all over the district.
Yes. You can drop your petitions off if you're unable to turn them in
That's
yourself.
Awesome. And I think I went to 3 petition signing events.
Each district holds at least one. So you don't have to go outside. We try to hold it close to your home. Same thing with the candidate forums that we hold. We're holding our second next week, next Thursday, May 7th at Penn State Harrisburg. Our first one was in Swatara Township. The goal is for people to be able to meet who's running where they live versus if you live in Halifax, you don't have to go to Hershey or vice versa.
Or come all the way down to Harrisburg.
Yes.
A lot of people still did, especially for the countywide races, but it was really good. And
we work with other counties.
Yes.
We weren't able to do it this year, but the last congressional race 24, when there was like 7-8 people running. We held a huge candidate forum at Widener Law School, and Cumberland and New York counties, Democrat parties co-sponsored that with us.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we've been holding forums with other counties, and I want to do more of that because especially we're having more cross-county.
Yes, of course. Yeah, especially because the way our the state Senate seats are split, the way some of the other ones are split, we have to work with other counties, it seems, to do some of that work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know there's been some criticism about finances as far as raising money. With that said, even last year, we pay for mailers for our candidates. Since I've been chair, we have our first permanent headquarters. in Dauphin County, where people can come. Candidates use that. There's going to be a meet and greet next week, actually. That
Coordinator uses that when
Yes.
they're here.
So it's not just for me and other people, but we allow other Democrats to use that office.
I used it when I was on the Kamala Harris campaign. Mm-hmm.
So in the one newspaper article, it said that the Republicans had 500 million and we had about 30,000. Well, the fact that we pretty much swept all the races and they spent 500 million, I actually think that makes us look
crazy.
good. So,
$500 million to be losing up and down the ballot means you cannot buy votes, and I love that for democracy.
We also do candidate recruitment. I'm very proud, and I do want to say that when I was first chair, we were a strong red county, and what we have accomplished. And I'm not saying, obviously, that's not just because of me, but I do think I fostered the environment. When we talk about diversity, and that's something else. Our elected officials are finally reflecting
very diverse
the community.
Very diverse.
And I think it's said I'm the only elected Black chair in the state.
Yeah.
Well, let me rephrase that. I'm the only elected minority chair. Let's just include all people of color in the state out of 67.
Wow.
That's sad, but Dauphin County.
For the record, I am not running for DCDC chair. Now there, it is on record. I do not need another job. Do you understand what I'm saying? And if you have learned anything from watching Rogette, I don't need that job, okay? Because I will cuss all y'all out. Anyway.
But this one doesn't pay. Are you sure?
Yeah.
You don't want to add it on there?
Another unpaid gig? No. Because then I would really be cussing them out. Absolutely not. No. No, thank you.
But we elected 2 county commissioners, first time in 100 years. I know you helped Judge Williams.
I did.
But last year we elected 2 women to the county courts.
Sure did.
First time in Democrat women in 30 years, and the first Black woman
ever in 250 years.
Invite the first Bhutanese American woman to Swatara Township.
Wow.
I already talked about how we flipped the milestones that we have hit. And again, I don't want people to forget what we have done united and together. And I feel like some people are trying to divide so we can go back to the way things were before instead of going forward. I mean, we actually have a chance to beat Scott Perry this year.
That's really amazing. And I mean, and have come closer than ever in any year. Like it's really just.
I've also been on record, and I'll say it again. Yes, the party endorsed Janelle Stelson. Regardless of who wins the primary, as chair, I will support.
That's right.
Whomever wins that primary, because the mission is to beat Scott Perry. So it's nothing against the other candidate. That's just what the body voted.
And that if it's nothing I want more in the world is to beat Scott Perry. I can't even tell you. He has been a terrible representative, terrible for Dauphin County, terrible for Cumberland County residents, even though they vote for him overwhelmingly. You know, same thing with York. But anyway.
I think we're all united on that, the 3 county parties.
I think so.
We will support whomever wins that primary.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, and this is a more personal question. Why do you think you get so much flack for the work that you do? And I'm saying this as a person, to be very transparent, who has opposed some of your decisions and opposed certain things and been very open about it.
No, you open?
You what? And I say that so why do you, so you know the reasons I had, but like, why do you think you get so much flack from folks for the work that you are doing in the county?
Honestly, I really think a lot of it is because I'm independent minded. I'm only the second chair elected that has not been controlled by the elected officials. Wow. The party has always been controlled by the electeds. I'm only the second chair that's not. And there have been a few things they have asked me to do. I disagree with. I said no to, and that's when a lot of this has started. I really think a lot of it is about control. Because we're winning. So it's obviously not about that, and that's why I want to remind people what we have done together.
Absolutely.
With that said, as I mentioned, they have a vote.
I was going to say
they don't.
How many people are not voting that on the exec committee? Like, is it like more than 5? Of whoever has a seat that's elected that just doesn't vote.
Most of the exec board does come and vote.
Okay.
I'm just speaking specifically of the five of the 6 elected. So your Patty Kims,
they don't vote
your
at all.
state senator, your the county commissioners, your state representatives.
They just don't vote.
They don't come.
Okay.
They don't show up. They don't attend. They don't have a voice. They say things to people, whisper campaigns behind the scenes, but they have a vote and they don't vote. They don't contribute. They don't. We have a forum next week. They are all invited.
Probably won't make it.
I have not.
Yeah.
Have not confirmed attendance. Even the forum at the conference center, I had invited Rep. Dave Mattson. He declined to attend that. Forum. So.
And so they're not. What do you think would happen if they voted? Like, would things be different? Or?
Well, they have a voice.
Yeah.
They keep saying they're not happy with the party, but they're not saying why.
So not to bring up old shit, but the letter that was 2024 letter that came out that you had to respond to, it was basically like, under your leadership, the party has been struggling. I remember at that time thinking, how is what happened at the clerk of courts your fault directly? And that was the first thing I said to you when I read the article. So talk to me about the aftermath of that and how you feel now about all of it.
Well, I do want to bring up that the Democrat Party overwhelmingly kept the clerk of court's office last year.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
I also want to bring up, I was not the clerk.
That's right.
I was a staff member. I was there for 3 to 4 months. There's a recent newspaper article that said I hired people.
I was just going to say, did you get anyone a job?
No, I did not have hiring. Yeah. I think it's unfortunate that the 2 Black deputies were scapegoated for the elected white clerk. I am going to bring up race with that.
That was actually elected.
Yes, that was actually elected and made all the decisions.
So I want to quote Zach here. Zach Hoops wrote this article for Penn Live, and he said, to hear Harris tell it, she's a victim of an attempted coup by state and county lawmakers who have failed to engage with and support the DCDC and who resent not being in direct control of the county committee themselves. Would you say that's true?
I do think that they are not involved because for whatever reason, they do not want me as chair. And again, they're not saying what that reason is. I can only surmise what I think it is. Is that when they asked me to step down for something I didn't do and had nothing to do with me being chair, after we took over the county commissioners, I did not. And I think they were also upset the support that I received. That vote only received 2 yeses.
Out of everybody.
Out of everyone. And I think unfairly, they look at it as a them versus me thing, which isn't how people were looking at it. They were looking at it as, what did she do?
What did she do? Right.
I wasn't the elected clerk.
Yep. And taking that opportunity to kind of try to pin this on you, how did that affect your work as chair?
My work, well, we keep winning. We keep winning. Well, remember, even back then, I never had to testify. I was never in meetings with any judges. Again, that was the clerk.
Yeah.
I never had to pay any fines, no fees. I was never charged with anything. And I think people looked at the overall picture, not at just the fact that I was there for a few months. I have a job. Well, I actually got an even better job 2 months later. You know, life kind of moved on for me.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, we keep winning.
And the results are speaking. So he has another quote here. Let me see how much time I have. Not much. He says, he's quoting you, but basically, I'm only second independent chair from the party. Yes. To this day, they have not spoken to me and told me what their issues were. Has anybody spoken to you?
No.
Still, okay.
Well, no, that's not true. Justin Douglas did speak to me, and he actually said that what he knows now, if he knew now what he knew then, he would not have signed that letter. So I do want to give him that credit.
Important.
Yes,
that's important.
He did say that. Other than him, though, no.
That's a big development that also wasn't captured here. But
and I did tell him about that.
So he said, because then he goes on to say the DCDC is the steering body for the Democratic outreach and strategy in Dauphin County, working to get party members elected up and down the ballot. But in 2026, a great deal of his energy appears to be going into settling scores with Democrats who are already in office, especially those who signed letters asking Harris to step down. So he is alleging here that the DCDC's energy is being spent to basically get back at Justin Douglas, George Hartwick, Senator Patty Kim, and state reps Nate Davidson, Justin Fleming, and Dave Matson.
And that is not true. I did write a response to that article, which hopefully will be published soon. But if I was out settling scores, how come only one of them has an opponent this year?
Exactly.
Like I said, I invited them to the forums. They're invited to everything. They're on the executive committee. They are choosing to separate themselves. And if I was trying to settle scores, again, the party wouldn't be doing as well as
because
we're
settling
doing.
scores doesn't really yield anything,
No.
as we know.
And they're elected. What can I do?
They're literally elected.
Yes.
What is this? I don't know. And people are probably gonna look at this and go, "Oh, Kamika's just giving Rogette all these accolades."
I do want to clarify one thing. Reps Nate Davidson and Justin Fleming did not apply for endorsement.
Got it.
That is why they were not endorsed. I have had a few people say
Nate Davidson did.
None of the incumbents have been endorsed. They did not. Dave Matson, however, Rep Dave Matson missed our application deadline and emailed me and asked if it could be reopened for him. Our candidates chair, Kelly Summerford, did reopen that process for Rep Matson to apply, even though his opponent, Shane Steele, met our deadline. And then at the last minute, Rep Matson changed his mind and said, well, I have a family obligation, so I changed my mind. I won't go for endorsement. All this can be proven through emails.
But he told the paper that it was because it was a foregone conclusion that he wasn't going to get. And so that's why he didn't do it. Did he communicate
all
that
this
to you?
is no. Okay. And all this can be proven through emails.
Okay. All right. So yeah, he definitely made it seem in this article as well that the reason why he did not seek endorsement because it was a foregone conclusion that Steele was going to get
and I
endorsed.
don't know how you can come to that conclusion until you start talking to people.
I mean, people thought it was a foregone conclusion that I think whoever in the 106 was whoever is running was going to get endorsed, and then it ended up
being an open
primary.
Right.
So and
that is not in any of the email correspondence with him.
So interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to go through this. He did update some stuff that I asked him to update. Other things he didn't, like his very weird opinion on the fact that he thinks that the DCDC is, as a committee woman, I don't understand how the committee is being used to exact any retribution against anybody. Actually, I'm not quite sure. I don't know how that.
Well, that's why I wanted to explain the endorsement process because I think they're trying to say because they weren't endorsed.
Yeah.
Which is not true. They did not apply for
endorsement, and that's correct. Different because he also had an article, oh, the incumbents didn't get endorsed, and I'm like, that's not how that works. But like they just didn't get endorsed. Like maybe some county parties have it where their incumbents are automatically endorsed.
Yes,
right?
That is with state party. If you're an incumbent, they automatically like to support you. Sometimes they don't even give you resources. We give everyone a fair shot.
Yeah, a fair shot. And I think in local politics, that's really important. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I made this whole stink about we were acting using I think we're using our primaries wrong. Instead of fleshing out our ideas on the open before voters on an open stage, we are using it to actually breed infighting instead of actually having debate, right? And arguing our points.
And all of them were endorsed in the past.
Yeah.
Just most recently, 2024. So
exactly.
That's again.
So finally, for the people watching who want to get involved but don't know where to start, what does the Democratic committee actually need from the community right now?
Well, first of all, we're looking for interns.
Oh, cool.
That's something else that got started since I've been chair. I already received 3 applications. So
that's fantastic.
We also are getting the Young Dems restarted here in Dauphin County. So send me an email, rogetteharris@gmail.com. You can also send it through our website. As you mentioned too, there are still empty spots for committee people. If you want to do a write-in, however, you do need 10 signatures as if you had submitted a petition. But get in contact with me. We can check to see if you have an open spot. Also,
perfect.
if you don't want to be a committee person, you can also join a committee.
Yeah.
If you like doing workshops and trainings, if you like doing voter registration, I can put you in touch with that chair.
Yeah.
To get involved. There's so many ways to get involved.
That's fantastic.
If you can't canvass, you can make phone calls. There's always something to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even help us keep our website updated. There's something.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something
There's
to do.
something for everyone.
Absolutely
Yes.
right.
We need volunteers to man our office, particularly during this time. People stop by, they need help how to fill out the ballot correctly,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
So even volunteer help at the office.
That's excellent. Yeah. Especially now as the season starts ramping up.
Yes.
Well, this has been very enlightening. Well, not for me, but I hope for the viewers. I know pretty much everything she just said, except for like one thing. So I've been, and this is what I want people to know, like there's fact versus, the things we kind of make up in our minds. And so we want to have the facts. And I hope, that you will fact check her. Like that's the important part about this. You can fact check Rogette. You don't have to depend on any kind of secondhand information. You can actually fact check this stuff.
And please do reach out to me. There's so much misinformation out there. And unfortunately, just like you brought up the Penn Live article, even the newspapers aren't always accurate. There are people in there that wasn't even spoken to.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So
yeah, I think, so thank you for being here. I can go on about this topic, but thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I hope you run this back too if you're just tuning in and we're live, but run this back. This was a good interview. Okay. So we will be right back. Thank you for staying locked in with Last Lap. See you in a few seconds. Well, we are here at the end of the show, and it has been a great show. I mean, I hope you enjoy this immensely. I know y'all gonna have a lot to talk about. That's fine. Talk. We're okay with that here. But it is Last Lap, and we've talked a lot about the big national headlines. And we talked about voting. We talked about, holding our elected officials accountable. We talked about a lot. But I want us to always remember that power is decided locally. One of the things I talk to folks a lot about in my work now as an Affordable Pennsylvania regional organizer, is you don't have a Donald Trump without the support of a Scott Perry. You just don't. So you want to make sure that you're understanding how these power plays play out locally. So let's look at Virginia, for example. It's a perfect example. According to reports from the Washington Post on the redistricting battles, those new maps that they just voted on, right, that turned over so many more seats for allegedly Democratic leading districts, right? We don't know for sure, but that's the idea. These new maps completely shifted the balance of power in that state, because maps dictate who get a seat at the table. There are statistics showing that Asian, Black, and Hispanic communities in the state voted at levels unseen, from over 70% up to 95%. All voted to make their maps more representative of who they are and the kind of representation they want to see at the national level. So when you sit out local elections, you are letting someone else draw the maps, decide on funding, direct resources that will govern your neighborhoods, your schools, and your tax dollars, and so much more for the next decade. Do not ever forget this, and we'll keep talking about it. I'll be inviting candidates on the show, if they want to come. They can. They're always welcome to. But your vote is your voice, right? Especially as we start gearing up for the primaries. And your local vote is your shield, right? People are like, how do we fight back against, all the things we see happening? They're trying to steal the election. You still have to vote. Your vote is your shield from a lot of things happening, because the protection is the power. All power to the people. All protection also belongs to the people. All power to the people. That is why your vote is so important. So check your registration, check your mail-in ballots. Make sure your mail-in ballots are filled out correctly. Put it in that secrecy envelope, then put it in the regular envelope, because I always miss that step. I have to reopen it and put it back in. And hold these politicians accountable. Hold these elected officials, if they're incumbents, accountable. We want to hold them accountable. Don't forget that one of the ways, not just through voting, is also by telling our stories. You need to tell your story to your neighbors. You need to tell your stories to your friends. You need to tell your stories to coworkers who live where you live, because you all understanding each other's needs, understanding how the votes of your elected officials affect your household, will help you decide how to organize in your communities and how you can actually take your power and wield it in the way that you want to see in your community. So I am Dr. Kamika Campbell, and this has been the Black News Beat. Please support Black media. Come to all the events that we have been talking about. And I will see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a great day. Bye.